Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our fourth episode of the live interview series SSI Live Cosmic Conversations. My name is Nia, and as one of the science communication interns here at Cal Academy, I will be your host for today. In this series, we will interview a different number of our SSI intern cohort every episode. SSI stands for the Summer Systematics Institute, a research experience for undergrads, or REU, funded by the National Science Foundation. All of the interns Sophia and I will be interviewing work directly with curators or researchers on research projects on all sorts of topics, from plants to people to ancient DNA. Feel free to leave any questions in the chat and we will get to them at the end of the episode. Today, I will be talking to Carol. Can you please introduce yourself before we begin?
Hi, my name is Carol. I currently go to community college. I'm majoring in biotech, and I'm currently working on the entomology barcoding projects.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Carol. Let's get right into the questions. So, our first question is, what is entomology and genomics? And can you introduce the subject that you're studying?
So, entomology is just the study of insects as a general, but insect genomics is basically we're looking at these insects and sequencing their DNA and finding their basically their unique genetic fingerprints.
And could you tell us more about how you're using that in your project?
My project is more of a methodologies project. So I'm optimizing the way we sequence and read ancient DNA. And this summer, I'll be using specific techniques that have not really been used in this sense. But if I do get some good results, then it would be pretty impactful.
Okay. So, what exactly is ancient DNA for those who don't really know what that means?
I wondered the same thing myself, but ancient DNA is basically DNA that's really old and degraded. And when we barcode insects, we're usually looking for one whole sequence. But because the DNA is so old and degraded, it comes in little fragments. So my project will be trying to glue these fragments together and being able to sequence the whole the whole sequence, and it'll be a lot more cost effective and it'll make the process easier.
Okay. More cost effective, as opposed to what? What's the other options that they have?
So, usually when they sequence ancient DNA, they have to sequence little bits of it at a time because they come in little fragments. And
Mhm.
the more that you're sequencing, the more costly it gets. I think Sanger sequencing is like $4 a piece. So when you have more than one fragment, it starts to really build up. But if we can glue these fragments together and make one whole CO1 sequence, then it will save us money there.
Okay. That sounds really cool. Okay. So for our next question, how does your personal identity inform your science?
Oh, well, starting off, I was born in a third world country where women are not really treated as equal. It's getting more progressive and stuff like that, but there's still this feeling where like women are lesser than or not as smart. At the end of the day, it's your job is to stay at home and take care of the family. So I always felt like I had something to prove, which made me work really hard, probably harder than a lot of my other classmates. And I've kind of become like perfectionist. Anything that I do, I try to be the best at, especially if it's something that I love, like biology. And not only that, I also come from a community college, and sometimes it's really like scary to be in this program with people who go to these big colleges, universities, and I come from a 2 year, but I like to remind myself that this program, out of like hundreds and hundreds of applicants, that they chose me, that I still have what it takes to do all this cool stuff.
Yeah, that sounds really, really cool that you overcame a lot of adversities to be here. Okay, so for our next question, what is the most interesting thing that you've learned so far during this internship?
During this internship, I learned that we haven't really discovered everything yet. Growing up, I kind of just thought like everything's already been explored, there's nothing else for me to do. But in this program, I learned that there's just so many raging debates still going on, like what counts as a species, what doesn't count as a species, and like there's always just something new to be discovered, and even a small project like mine can have an impact on the scientific community, and I think that's really awesome.
Mhm. So has your like perspective on science changed because of like hearing all these new ideas? Like has your idea of a scientist changed at all?
Oh, definitely. Before, I would think that scientists are these mega geniuses who are perfect and all that junk, but the more I meet scientists, the more I realize how nerdy they are and how weird they can be. But these people are these scientists are just normal people like me, and I'm slowly starting to see myself like I can be a scientist one day, and it's not like some imaginary thing.
Do you feel like you're a scientist already? Or do you feel like
Kind
it's still
of.
something that you're trying to become one day?
I think I'm slowly getting there, but it's kind of awkward to call myself a scientist, so I'll I'll wait until then.
Well, I think you're a scientist. You're doing science, so that makes you a scientist in my eyes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great segue into our next question. What inspired you to pursue science?
Well, I always knew that I've kind of gravitated towards science throughout high school and stuff, but it wasn't until I got into college and I randomly decided to take a biotech career exploration class over the winter. And just taking the class made me really fall in love with science because it was something that I really loved to do, and it was a science where I didn't have to go into med school because most people I meet only think that when you go into biology you go to like med school and that's it. But
Mhm.
it helped me learn that there's also like these other branches I could go into. So after the initial career exploration class, I did a biotech internship working with another student, purifying and expressing uh, blue proteins. And I thought that was really cool. So it made me go pursue the whole biotech course at my community college. And it was just really awesome being able to do what I love. And I love showing up to class. Even though it was on the weekends, I loved going to class. And it wasn't only the classes that inspired me, it was also the people that I met along the way. And being a part of this community where people are equally as nerdy and think science is cool, and it's just fun meeting people who nerd about like plant science or neuroscience and all that stuff. So joining my institution's bioscience club really helped me take off.
Who were some of these inspiring people? Were they like your friends or like your teachers?
Yeah, my most of all is my professor, Dr. Kamajaya. He's really awesome. He helped really inspire me to pursue science, and uh, in my in my bioscience club, there's some of my friends who just a genius at their little niche interests, and like I would have never thought about that. Like I I don't want to drop their names or anything, but
That's fine.
there's a few of them out there.
They know who they are.
Yeah, they know who they are.
And this isn't one of our questions, but like before you came to college, were you interested in science or was it just something that you became interested in after college?
Oh, I had no interest in doing anything in high school. I was kind of just a tumbleweed floating in the wind. I did have like this little calling in the back of my head, like maybe I should go into science, but I really did not know what I wanted to do in high school until I got into college and took the career exploration course.
Well, it's good that you found something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into our comment round, we do have some questions in the chat. So our first question is, what are some cool and interesting developments in the insect genome world?
Oh, that is a very specific question. How do I answer that? Well, I can talk about my interesting developments. My project hasn't really taken off yet, but um, I'm trying to do what it's called overlap extension PCR, where I'm gluing the fragments together by making them bind to each other with their own primers. I'm explaining it so badly right now, but it um, this technique has really been used in bacteria and stuff, not like actual like insect DNA. So that would be a really cool development in the entomology community.
Using insects instead of bacteria? Yeah. Okay, our next question in the chat. What would you say inspired you to study / be passionate about your research? I feel like you already answered that one, but if you would like to talk a little bit more about it, you can.
It was just I love class, but I also people around me just really inspired me. Seeing them nerd out made me want to nerd out. So
Okay, and then the last question in the chat. Could you explain what biotech means?
biotech means to manipulate biological organisms with technology. So basically, just manipulating. When I did my biotech program, I was manipulating E. coli bacteria to produce Taq polymerase, which is used a lot in PCR and research. So stuff like that.
Okay, so like editing genomes and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now we'll move on to our comment round. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. So our first comment round question is, if you had to be an animal or plant for a day, what would you be and why?
I think that I would want to be a snail. And that is because sometimes I feel like I take things too fast or I get way ahead of myself. If I was just a snail for a day, I could just chill out, be slow for once, or well, I am slow sometimes, but but I could just take life easy, maybe graze on a leaf or something, or go around the pond.
Sounds really peaceful. You were telling me that your favorite animal was like a giant land snail or something?
Giant African land snail, and I would love to have one as a pet, but they are illegal in the United States. So
Uh,
one day,
okay, our next question. If we were to discover intelligent life on another planet, what do you think it would look like?
I think it would look like a snail. I
A snail?
I think their eyes would be up here or something. They look really weird. Yeah, I hope they would look like snails, just because I like them. But intelligent life could literally look like anything. Maybe it would look like a square or
A
a
square.
pyramid. I don't know.
A floating square and a floating pyramid. That would be really interesting. I'd love to see that. Okay. Next, if you could go to Entomology Planet, what's the first thing you would do there?
I would hang out with all the other bugs. I'd party with them. We'd go watch a movie, maybe. Um, Eat insect food, whatever that is. I don't know
Eat
what I would do at
insects.
Entomology Planet.
Would you want to study something there? Just a
Oh,
planet full of bugs.
well, yeah. I probably want to study the roly polies. They're pretty cool. I think roly polies are my favorite insects. or maybe praying mantis. It's a tie between those two.
Maybe they're intelligent and they can have a conversation with you on Entemology Planet.
Yeah.
Okay, our last question. Tell us about your favorite SSI moment so far.
My favorite SSI moment so far would probably be the first day when I moved into the dorms, and me and my roommates want to go ask a bunch of other interns if we want to get dinner. And we all took the bus and got lost for a little bit. But we finally made it to a restaurant. We had some Thai food. It was delicious. And it was just a great bonding moment. It made me realize that like we're gonna click like that and it was gonna be a really fun summer.
Yes, I remember that. The food was really good.
It was.
Okay, we have one more question in the chat. Well, two, but one of them, we're gonna skip that one.
Oh.
Since you cannot have snails, what exotic pet would you like to own?
An exotic pet? I don't know. I think I'd just go for a regular garden snail if I couldn't have a giant African land snail. But I do like fish. I like goldfish too. I like the ranchos with the puffy faces.
Oh, they're so cute.
They are cute.
Okay, and someone left a pickup line. Would you like to hear it?
I would like to hear it.
Okay, this person said, "Are you the Hubble telescope? Because you bring the farthest things closer to my heart."
I don't get it, but thank you.
Okay. Thank you all for tuning in today. So that wraps up our cosmic conversation. Thank you, Carol, for joining us. Before we end, we would like to encourage you all to follow us on social media platforms at calacademy_SSI to learn about science and natural history museums along with us this summer. Tune in next Tuesday, where we will be interviewing one of our SSI interns on their research. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.